Forwards with Chris Hedges and Ron Suskind continues.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, in Hope in the Unseen, you know, one of the things I do is try to walk in the shoes of the actor Cedric, a kid who goes from the worst high school in America to Brown University, and the goal is to know what drives his dreams of acceptance, his sense of I need to get there up ahead. It's Gatsby and the green light in the dock, and someday I'll make it.
Yeah.
The unseen is a place. He assumes it's Brown University. That's where I'll be at home. That's where I'll be at home in my skin. That's where I'll be judged on my merits. Of course, he gets there, and he's sort of like, I'm not there yet. I can feel I'm closer, but I need to work on myself. I need to somehow be worthy of that moment, and I'm learning who I am. And you know, and ultimately, it's interesting because a teacher visits him, and I'll get to a question here in about 10 seconds, but a teacher, and Cedric tells this teacher from high school, yes, Mr. Taylor, I'm almost there. I'm almost at the place I thought, you know, reaching. And Mr. Taylor said, well, Cedric, maybe the unseen isn't so much a place as a place in your heart. And what the teacher's talking about is discovering an underlying human reality, which you talk about at the end of the book.
Right.
You know, when the noise stops, when you're alone with yourself, when you know with great intimacy the life that you actually are living. And I guess what I wonder about, at the end of the book, you start to talk a bit about that. I know we're jumping a little bit ahead, but how people might arrive, you know, at a place where they somehow are not so deeply affected by the circus, by all of these props and lures, and will it take a disaster, which is something you kind of infer here, before people in this culture hit a kind of stop and think underlying reality? I guess that's one of the questions I ask, because I know you, in a way, it's a struggle at the end to say something hopeful about where we might end up, and I think you do manage that at the end of the book. But tell me about that tension. You know, how far do we have to drop in your mind before we say, I need to hit the reset button. We need to start over. We need to rediscover these values of which we speak. I need to know that I can only trust what I can touch. And so now it's incumbent upon me to go touch something. When does that moment come?
Well, societies that can't distinguish between illusion and reality die. And we can go back and look at decaying empires, whether that was the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and read the great commentators on those final years or decades, whether it's Cicero, whether it's Joseph Roth. It is that inability to grasp what's happening and that clinging to self-delusion that makes the self-annihilation inevitable. And you know, I covered the war in the former Yugoslavia, where I watched delusions of grandeur grasp the Serbs, the Croats, and to a lesser extent the Muslims in Bosnia, but all of them, where people they had grown up with, you know, gone to school with, played soccer with, perhaps even married, were literally killing each other on the length of a street in Mostar. So I think that my fear is that unless we begin to grasp that certainly that level of consumption, that particular lifestyle that we had is not coming back, unless we begin to confront the radically new forms of structural forms that we have to embrace in order to ward off climate change, unless we deal with the fact that our imperial hubris is hollowing us out and destroying us from the inside, not only morally, but financially. You know, what do we do the day China stops buying our debt? We can't fund the empire anymore. And the dollar could, within 24 hours, become junk.
What's